What is up, my fellow Chibits? Hopefully everybody's day has been wonderful today, because there's been quite a few series that have been great. But sadly, I cannot say the same about Musaigen, aka Phantom World. The reason for this is because the comedy in the second half felt very flat. And as I've always said, comedy is subjective, and it really comes down to your personal taste. And when it came to that, and then the first half of the episode, there really wasn't much going on in this episode that really, screamed out like, holy shit, this is amazing. And it's kind of sad, really. I mean, after watching this episode and seeing for myself, this is the perfect example of a story, or an anime, that has wonderful art, wonderful animation, but very generic characters and plot. That's pretty much what Phantom World is. That's the best way to describe this, series so far from what I have seen. The thing is I'm fearful of is after this episode, it's starting to make me see that this might turn into a weekly, let's stop the Phantom of the week. And that's kind of what it's looking like. I mean, you have a new character getting introduced, and overall, it's pretty much similar to a lot of concepts we've seen in the past. For instance, a club is trying to stop certain phantoms each individual episode, introduce a new character, and then there you go throughout the remainder of the series until, like, the last couple episodes with a main plot, then the series ends. That's kind of what this is reminding me of right now. And, to be honest, I really am not a big fan of the characters as well. Not because of the fan service, which I will cover in a second, but mainly because of certain ways these characters are described, or how they're really displayed. They're very, I don't know, I expect so much more from KyoAni. When it comes to series they usually animate, usually they really have these unique characters with their own motives. I mean, look at Hibike. Hibike was a wonderful series, and I love the characters in that series. And looking at this type of series, it's definitely something very weak when it comes to the KyoAni brand. Like, the only real thing I think this series has going for it at this moment after seeing the second episode would be the KyoAni brand attached onto this series. Now, of course, this is based off of a light novel, so KyoAni didn't technically write this, they're just animating it, and from what I heard from fellow Chibits in the comments below last week, is that this is one of the lowest ranking tier things for KyoAni to adapt. For instance, like, it was a low ranking series or something, I think 4th place or 5th place or something, and apparently it's like the lowest, and that's probably why many of us are probably thinking like, whoa, this is like one of the weakest series KyoAni has ever done, or in recent memory. Now, besides that, however, why do I not really like the characters? For one main thing that really got to me in this episode was how our main male character became the standard weak character that became a punching bag for our main female characters. For instance, the main male character, he was being labeled as useless or stupid trivia questions or something. They were just throwing this label on him saying, like, he has useless information. And I mean, he's a book reader, he's a bookworm. We see all these books in his library, he has all this information, and they're pretty much making fun of our poor main male character, saying he has useless information, useless trivia. And I'm like, that's fucked up. But then they come to him and they ask for help for certain things, or, how they need help with describing a certain creature, something like, the robot in the first half of the episode, but then they call his, like, trivia useless and stuff, and I'm like, that's fucked up. But it's not just that either. In the second half, when it came to the comedy segment, our main male character became a punching bag. He was just getting slung out the fucking window, he got a cut, turned into a lewd scene, and I'm willing to bet you right now, the only reason why that was done was just for that one lewd scene alone. Just for that fucking finger-sucking goodness that KyoAni wanted to add into this episode. I feel like that's the only reason why they wanted to abuse our main male character multiple times, just to have a reason for him to get injured and then have a lewd scene like that, which is the next point I want to talk about. KyoAni, I am all fine for fan service with, KyoAni. Like, I mean, the way they do their fan service, it's not really that bad. Actually, it's very different. It's way different than the normal fan service you see. It's not just, a face full of fucking opie in your face. It actually, they have these different ways of kind of revealing the plot, telling the story, and these character movements without really disrupting the flow, but still having fan service on the side. And I mean, I posted a picture on Twitter, and some Chibits, commented on what I posted and said I didn't even realize there was a fan service scene going on, which is really fucking funny, because that's just how well KyoAni is at hiding certain fan service scenes. You might not even notice when you're, like, reading the subtitles. So, well done on that, KyoAni. That's one thing you have going for when it comes to this series. But besides that, it's a very generic second episode. I mean, the first half, I thought it was going to go somewhere with the scientific device that was discovered, but then the second half came around, and it pretty much was just like, oh, okay, so it's just going to be comedy. And I felt like the comedy just, you know, right over the head. It wasn't for me, and that's my honest opinion there. So, Musaigen, Episode 2, beautifully animated, great art, but very flat and generic. That's the best way. But remember, I am probably going to continue watching this just because it is KyoAni, and I mean, I just love, you know, seeing their shows, even if it's not the best ever. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts of this episode. So tell me your thoughts. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.